Okay, business wise is valuing, well, I don't know if it's a crossover, it's definitely valuing my time, and being able to break down the financial elements of my investment to my business, and then obviously the personal and the emotional side of that as well, and valuing myself as part of that. Pricing. Pricing again was like my biggest thing, and I hear it again and again and again from everybody, is pricing. And I think boundaries as well, and I think the boundaries that you provide within the course yourself, like you portray those boundaries yourself, and so it's a template, you know, because you know when you know somebody, or you've heard speakers, and then you go and read their book and you can hear their voice in your head, like Gabor Mate, I can always hear him talking as I'm reading his book.
Yeah.
And so that's what it becomes. I think the intensity of the course, and the intensity of the group, and the everyday stuff, and the coursework itself, and then the group stuff, and then the Zoom stuff, ends up being like a whole transformation. It ends up living in your head in a good way. It's a little bit like a recovery program, that if you don't put your 90 days, your 90 meetings in 90 days, then you kind of fall off the wayside a little bit. And I think you really need to just immerse yourself. It's like that cold ice bucket of water, getting in and just start to acclimatize to everything. So I think that really has been valuable to see your boundaries, to have to be immersed in it all, and to be able to hear you speaking when the question comes up, how much do you charge for da, 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 da? And you just go, this isn't my client. Yeah.
Yes, right.
Yeah. What starts to happen is that you start off that way, and you are getting those people that are asking the questions, and so the work has to be done around addressing that, and around the people that you're marketing to. So if you're getting those questions, you're not getting your marketing right. I'm not trying to tell you how to do your fucking job, but like it dawned on me then. I was like, oh, when you're not getting those questions anymore, which I'm not, I'm like, oh, so there's no weeding, which then literally cuts out 40% of the bullshit. So you've got 40% more time on your hands to do other stuff and bring in other clients. So it really is just like this beautiful cog that turns, and it gets really stiff because it gets really horrible and uncomfortable, and then suddenly it just goes pop, and you're like, oh, no. My whole outlook, my whole business, my whole persona, my personal life and my professional life could not, absolutely not be where it is today if I didn't do your course. I just didn't get it. I think going back to what you said about what was one of my fears was like, oh, it's going to be markety, and it's going to be brandy, and oh, I don't really want to do this whole salesy stuff. And actually, you find your comfort zone within that if you throw the baby out with the bathwater and think, well, I'm not really markety, then you may as well be in 1946, because this is the way the world is now. And if you want to like, you look at Madonna, the only reason Madonna is still going is because she's changed with the times. I had to jump on the bandwagon and change with the times, but I didn't know where to start. Like, I'm 41. I only got on the internet like 10 years ago. Like, I haven't a clue. And so I literally had to bite the bullet, and my business wouldn't be, but I'd still be going, oh, I'll do it for a tenner.
Mm-hmm.
And not be able to feed my child. And I think you, in a lot of conversations that we had, you used to say to me, is that tenner worth spending 8 hours away from Ruben for? Is that how much value you're putting on your time with Ruben? I was like, oh wow, when you put it like that, yeah, like what
Right.
am I doing? Absolutely. And I think when you have, you know, for me, the course brought my confidence up, which I really needed. Like some people don't need that. Some people are like, they're fine and they just need the business side, and that's great. All hats off to you. I wasn't like that. I needed that support, and I needed to see other people growing, and I needed to see other people's success and how they were doing it in order to know this works. And I think for me, the big part of that was the emotional growth and the emotional that was definitely the I'd say the tailor end of when I finished up was my emotional thing, where it just slotted into place. And I was like, okay, so not that I'm like fixed, not that I'm
Nobody
broken,
ever
but,
is.
but I know the right questions to ask. I know the signs to look for. I know now that actually I have work to do in this area, this area, and this area. Those areas are identified for me. And I loved how within that course, you were like, I'm not your therapist, but we can identify this stuff. We can support you with your identification of this, and we can support you to go and get help. And I think if I didn't have that, I'd still be like, oh, marketing, it's not working for me because it's an inside job. I guess the community aspect, I think, was really important for me. Coming off everybody else's, unfollowing people, all of that stuff. It was like going through that process. I couldn't have done it on my own because I was answerable to you guys. Do you know what I mean? It's kind of like breaking up with a boyfriend and then checking their freaking Facebook every 2 seconds. You know that horrible feeling? That's what my life was like. Like checking what other dog trainers are doing. Oh shit, I should have done that. Or that was my idea. Just a bit like, I was just, because my self-esteem was on the floor. And I suppose coming away from all of that, like I just never understood that not having that constant input of negativity, what other people are doing, the competition, oh, I should be doing that, or they're doing it better than me, was one of the biggest elements for me. And it's like putting down a drink. It was literally like putting down an addiction.
Mm-hmm.
And I became acutely aware of how addicted I was, to, what's that doctor call it? Trauma bonding.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Totally.
That's a big one with dog trainers. Yep.
Yeah. And addicted to other people, what they're doing, other people's, Facebook stuff, other people's groups, getting keyboard warrioring, fighting with other freaking positive reward trainers, like judging people, like all of that stuff. Yeah, it's been a process.
Mm-hmm. And it's likely going to be an ongoing process. It's not something that we're just like, oh, I'm all done with that now. Like,
yeah, I'm cured.
Yeah.
But I suppose it's like, what you say is, teach them to fish, they'll have a lifetime access to food. And that's what the course did. It wasn't like, don't do this and don't do that and don't do the other. There you go. It was actually, here, do this instead. And it gave me skills to go and actually do that and be answerable to somebody. That's what I need. And I think because of my ADHD and my dyslexia, if I don't have somebody going the way through, then I just get lost. I really need that. I needed that community. and the friendships that we developed. And it's so lovely now just seeing other people that have come through it and seeing them in different groups and seeing their message out there, and also knowing that there's that ethos, knowing that actually the top is like going into a shop and everyone in there is an asshole because the boss is an asshole. Mm. Whereas with you and the group, nobody got in there, they're an asshole. And so there was just this safety, that net, that your filter system was so tight and your criteria for having people in there was so on point that then you get that safety net with the people that are around you. And yes, of course, things come up and personality clashes and ideas and all of that, but like it gave us a safe place where there were no psychopaths. Sorry if you're a psychopath, or pause recording, or malignant narcissists. You know, there wasn't that to deal with. Like, that was filtered, and so you don't have those ego-centric psychos, you know, kind of wishing you bad, because a lot of people in the dog training industry, it's just very toxic, unfortunately.